Hi, my name is Candice Maldonado, and today I'm going to be talking about my zine, which I tend to call Zine. But I chose to write about internalized isms. So, internalized sexism, racism, even things like capitalism, the ideals that are ingrained in us for or in society and us as individuals over long periods of time, so much so that it's hard to disconnect these ideas with the reality of situations sometimes. So the title of my zine is called Internalized, and the quote that I chose for the front is, or the cover is, "There is a piece of the oppressor which is planted deep within each of us." Audre Lorde, who I guess was like activist, but like a long time ago. And so the first page talks about internalized sexism, racism, and capitalism. Um, Society has taught us for so long what to think of ourselves and others. We are innately prejudiced. And so, what I'm trying to explain with that is that we don't know that we think these things until we learn that we do. So, there are many things that are taught to us that we believe about ourselves and about other people, other groups of people, that I for a long time felt about myself as a woman and about other women, that maybe I am better than other women, other demographics, or that women who decide to have sex with men are wrong, or that there are any number of slurs, or that I'm better than them for not doing those things, or whatever the case may be. There are people in these demographics, in these minorities, in these oppressed groups that are contributing to the oppression of one another. So, I, as a woman, if I decide that I am more beautiful than somebody with a darker skin tone than me, am contributing to sexism and racism or colorism. And so, if I think that I'm more beautiful than another Mexican woman who has darker skin than me, I first of all am assigning a woman's worth by her looks and her value to how attractive she is, but also I am partaking in racism and colorism, which decides that lighter complexion people, lighter skinned people are more beautiful, or they're more deserving, or they're more worthy, or any number of things. Um, and so on the second page, I titled it Identify the Problem. And this, I am just asking for people to reach out with knowledge, because knowledge is what gives you the power. And by that, I mean that the more that we understand the issues that are plaguing us in these types of communities, the easier it is for us to break them down. And I mean, asking people to learn more and understand more about our society and the communities that they come from, I think is always going to be a good idea. On the third page, I titled it Ask Questions and Find New Solutions. So continue to ask why things are the way that they are. Why are women who are pretty seen as more worthy or more successful? Why are white people more successful or more worthy? Or why are people of color often in low income communities? Or what is the correlation between all of these things? Ask why. Look for the answers, look for the reasons, ask why we think the things that we do and why things are that way. And I offer the new solution again of this knowledge, this capability, and understanding that we can be the solution. So the more that we change the narrative, the more that we try to rid our society of the prejudices and these ideals, the more that this will slowly start to disintegrate. And hopefully, we'll reach a time, a place in a future generation where people aren't defined by their looks, by their color, by their income, by their class standing, and so on. And then on the next page, I go more in depth about internalized sexism as the main example. And so I explain the fact that this is also often referred to as internalized misogyny. And that is defined as the dislike of, contempt for, or ingrained prejudice against women. And I just want to explain the background to that for everybody reading it. And then I give a quote that I think is very fitting and will attract a lot of people's attention as to how this directly affects them and the society that we're so used to. And so the quote is, "Women are perceived to be appalling failures when we are sad. Women are pathetic when we are angry. Women are ridiculous when we are militant. Women are unpleasant when we are bitter, no matter what the cause. Women are deranged when women want justice. Women are man-haters when women want accountability and respect from men." And this is by Andrea Dworkin. I included a couple images of how much women get paid per cents on the dollar in comparison to white men. And that's broken down by demographic. The illustrator that I used for all of the images in this is Ash Luca Draws on Instagram. She's amazing, and I really wanted to use this project to highlight her art. I think it's powerful and loud and unapologetic. And then I go on to talk about how something like internalized sexism or internalized misogyny plays out like internalized racism or even internalized ideals of capitalism. So I talk about the fact that in groups of people of color, communities of color, we often still judge one another with the prejudices that are placed upon us. So I can go out and look at other Latinx people and assume things about them, even though I wouldn't want those things assumed about myself. As well as things with capitalism and like the way that it functions. So I can assume that homeless people are poor or drug addicts or whatever number of prejudices that there are against them, but we don't think about how capitalism has played into getting them to the situation that they're in. And in the end, I close with my final statement of the more we identify problems in society, the better we can be at seeing if we are personally contributing to them. The more people who identify and try to correct prejudiced behavior, the better our society can become. And around that, I gave very small examples of common misconceptions or things that we think of often, or even things that we think of as jokes about certain demographics or certain people that are just unnecessary to contribute to or to perpetuate. We don't need to think prejudiced and we don't need to be prejudiced, and the sooner we dismantle internalized things, the sooner we will be able to stop being prejudiced of other people. So I have tried to personally stop assuming things of other people of color based on background, based on skin color, based on anything. And instead, I have decided to go into situations and meet people with open minds, without any assumptions, without any prejudices, just as I would want people to do for me. And yeah, I hope that this would be a great presentation for high school students. I think that it focuses on something small that they can look within themselves to see if they personally are a part of this or feel these things or think these things. And I think it's a really great first step.